Welcome back to Voice Global. I'm your host, Pete Erickson, and this is part of our continuing chat series with leaders across the spectrum, both globally and industry-wise, that are playing a key role in conversational design, chat, and voice technologies. My next guest is actually quite special because there's a little story, a little backstory. When I founded Modev back in the day, so I think we founded in 2009. In 2012, we went on a trade mission with a bunch of developers to Hong Kong and China. And it was a really, really incredible trip where we shared information about the app developer market in the US and then learned a lot about the Hong Kong market and the Chinese market and how to do business in China. There was a young developer that was part of the Hong Kong contingent, and his name is Gordon Chu. Well, we had such a good experience in Hong Kong. We started a chapter of Modev in Hong Kong, and our chapter leader at that time was Gordon Chu. Here, all these years later, Gordon and I reconnect because he happens to now be the assistant manager for digital product and technology, focusing on conversational platforms. And so I reached out to Gordon. We had a great catch up. And I asked him, I said, please come be a guest at Voice Global. Let's talk about what you're doing at Cathay Pacific Airlines. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage my longtime friend, Gordon Chu. Gordon, how are you doing?
Hi, it's awesome. It's awesome to be here. And thanks for the invitation, Pete. So about myself, as you know, I work for Cathay Pacific, and we are a global airline headquartered in Hong Kong. Our passengers and cargo flights, they fly to more than 80 destinations in Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, and the Middle East. So actually do a little commercials here. So for the audience in the US, when the pandemic's over and you want to come explore Hong Kong or check out this part of the world, fly Cathay. We operate flights from Boston, Chicago, New York, San Francisco, and LA.
Well, I'll tell you what, that plug is welcome. And I can attest, as somebody who has flown Cathay Pacific Airlines from the US to Asia, it is a fabulous experience. It really is a level up from what we most of us know from a standpoint of air travel. Great experience, great airline. And let's get into this a little bit. So you are leading product in the conversational design space or the conversational interface space. Let's talk a little bit about that just in terms of scope. Like, is this customer facing? Is this chat and voice? Give us a sense of kind of the product landscape that you oversee there at Cathay.
It's actually a little bit of everything that relates to NLU and NLP. So, so my title, not my official title, but my role is I'm the enterprise product owner of Cathay's conversational platforms, as you see on my LinkedIn. So I serve a community of chatbot experience managers and also contact centers operations within Cathay's, from our passenger flights business, our cargo business, our loyalty operations, and also internal IT support and HR support. So we get question like employee asking us, how can I get pay raise? How do I get promoted? So there's also a chatbot that manages this. And what I'm looking at is like, imagine it's like an ecosystem of NLP engine.
Right. So you're managing. So there's all kinds of.
I thought I lost the connection.
No, you're good. You sound great. I can hear you just fine.
So let me repeat. So what I'm looking is like an ecosystem of NLP engine, contact center solution where the agent actually talk to the customers. Channels like the web and native mobile interface, social messaging channels like WhatsApp and Line and WeChat and Kakao Talk in Korea, serving the key markets or customers. So imagine like different sets of APIs that I have to deal with. And also some like Cathay legacy systems such as our booking engine, CRM, and our CDB, our marketing platforms. So I'm leading a Scrum team, and the key responsibility of my team is pretty much to make every component work well individually in the ecosystem, and also to make them work well together. That delivers a fluid and customer-centric digital experience.
Wow.
And yep, pretty
I've
much.
got to say, I mean, you sum it all up so well, but I can only imagine the complexity under the once you get a little bit under the covers with regards to, as you mentioned, all the various APIs. Let me ask you this question: Is are you all developing a lot of your own intellectual property here, or are you using solutions off the shelf solutions, or is it just a kind of a collection of everything?
It's like both. The problem is that when it comes to like in our context, like where we have like different markets and also like we have a lot of legacy systems, there needs to be a middle layer that connects everyone. So in our ecosystem, there is of course like for the NLP engine, we do use the off-the-shelf solution from a local vendor. And also, not to mention, like there also a off-the-shelf product from that serves the purpose of the agent application. So
Sure.
and not to mention the APIs from the for the digital channel for the social messaging. So it's from the social messaging channels that we are dealing with.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I would imagine that what we're a lot of what we're seeing is that there is organizations are figuring out where they need to really make their investments,
Yep.
and I think it is kind of in the middle, and not to try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to NLP and LRU. There's a lot of people
Yep.
working on that have been working on that for
Yep.
years. I mean, long before Amazon and Google Assistant came along. But let's talk a little bit about that as well. So, with regards to interfacing with customers out there, if
Hmm.
I'm looking for a flight, or maybe I want to book a flight, and I want to use my off-the-shelf assistant, let's talk a little bit about that interface and the end customer.
Okay. I would say like what we have a chatbot in sitting in Cathay in CathayPacific.com. It's called Vera. It is also available in our mobile app. So currently what it does is to automate like frequently asked questions, such as check-in, such questions related to check-in, change booking, and baggage allowance. It even covers our loyalty operations related questions such as like expiring airline miles, you
Mm-hmm.
name it. And but I think what I want to share more about is I think I guess a chatbot strategy. I think this is something that could be useful for other corporates. Um,
Absolutely, definitely. Let's talk about that.
yeah. So want to talk about how we are currently positioning our chatbots, like a conversational UI. And so what we think is what the chatbot does, there are two objectives. First of all, because we want to talk about automation, right? So we want to be able to lower the operating costs of our contact centers, right? How can we not talk about reducing agents? How can we reduce the unnecessary contact from a customer so that the agent can handle more complicated cases? More
Right,
complex cases, right?
right.
Not to provide a satisfaction to the agent so they're actually doing meaningful jobs and also provide a service quality. And the second objective is how can we remove any obstacle in the customer journey, pre-flight and post-flight, so that the customer can get converted faster. And so in terms of the strategy planning, we have created this servicing funnel concept from the self-service with the mobile app and also website where people actually like search for their flights and do online check-in and manage their bookings. To in the lower stream, the human agents, the actual call.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like before chatbot, the funnel goes from like the self-services and live chat and the contact center agent handling the call, right?
Right.
And the lower it gets in the funnel, the higher the cost of resolution.
Mm.
So the outcome that we are looking to achieve by placing an AI in the middle of funnel is not about that we want to cannibalize our feature. I mean cannibalize the features in our digital platforms, in our digital properties, or to replace the agents. The angle that we're looking at is how can we create harmony, like in the funnel. That when we put a chatbot in the middle, what we want it to do is to act as a triage point that determines where the issue can be resolved effectively by
Right.
conversing with our customers. So we have three strategies with chatbot. So what it would do is like in some scenario we could like automate the question, like meaning that we could actually fulfill the request within the conversational UI. For example, reset password or trying to understand the speech from the customer. I mean, the utterance of the customer and determine um, maybe travel restriction, because the customer can say something like, I want to understand like if I can currently travel to the UK, if I can currently travel to the US, what will be travel restriction. So our chatbot is trained to understand this kind of like utterance. And in some scenario, we might just simply send them the customers back to the self-service. It's also a way to educate our customers. And because like I said, we wouldn't want a chatbot. We don't want to enhance chatbot in a way that we place everything what the website or the mobile app currently do, right?
Right.
And also, but also when it comes to that kind of scenario, we also have to look at like right now as a quick fix, we tell the customer to point the customer to the self-services, right? But also we have to understand the root cause of our customer asking these kind of questions. Why were they confused in our website?
Right.
Right. And from that, we have a very robust customer design team that look at all the chatbot and the live chat conversation to understand whether there's any problem in our website or our ground services, and trying to define a long-term strategy that can help us to tackle they can help to tackle or to eliminate the root cause.
Well, I think I think what I'm hearing, which is a really important part of your strategy, is actually you're actually improving user experience. So if there are user experience issues, your conversational strategy would be to help overcome those and use this data in almost real time to improve the service and improve the access to web features and mobile app features.
Correct.
So where would you say you all are in the journey for conversational design and engagement? Like, are you still at you think at the beginning? Are you in the middle of the journey? I don't think anybody's at the end state yet, because so much going on.
Yeah, I think it's like in the middle. Like we're constantly improving. For example, like we have this like massive amount of conversational data, the conversation history from our live chat, from with our agents, and also with call. I don't think we don't really have like a concrete solution. Like how can we automate the analytics around that? Pretty much, when I say analytics right now, it's pretty much us like exporting a lot of raw data to our customer experience design team. Then they really have to eyeball check every single conversation log and trying to get a context, trying to make sense of it. So what we are looking to is our strategy is not about only reduce the effort from our agents, like letting them to focus more complicated cases, automate like unnecessary human contact digitally, and also like how can we make insight discovery easier with conversational data that we collect.
So analytics, I think, is a big opportunity area. I think it's what a lot of organizations are looking at. We've heard, some pretty amazing statistics. I think there for voice interface on a remote control for the TV, there's like 100,000 ways to ask to change the channel.
Right.
So you can only address that kind of volume with really good analytics and machine learning on the back end.
Right.
There's just no way that we're going to be able to get through it. Well, really interesting. What do you what goals do you have? As somebody who's in this industry, who's now kind of on the forefront of this with a major airline. What is Gordon? Where do you want to take this for you personally? Do you feel like this is a good long-term run for you in the conversational and voice tech industry?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important. I think it's really important technology for us because we actually launched our chatbot like a year ago, and we can totally see like how it can effectively, automate some of the customer inquiries. Because for example, our current performance is that our chatbot is able to deflect 40 to 60% of the chats. I think that actually implies like 40%, 40 to 60% of cost saving because of the number of human contact, human handled chats that we are able to reduce.
Right. That's very real. That ROI is very measurable. And I think that it's interesting. And now you can move move those investments into higher value areas with regards to customer engagement. I think that's fascinating. Also, just how much of your conversational interface is text chat versus actual voice chat?
Currently, it's 100% text chat, but we do have a roadmap of enabling voice chat in our core channel. Google Assistant, Alexa, we're looking at, but we are an Asian-based airline, whereas our current focus will be still social messaging channels.
Sure. So WeChat, I would imagine, is probably pretty big over there.
Actually, WeChat is very important because like we need the channel in order to market in China and also to connect with our customers in mainland China, and also we have WhatsApp, we have Kakao Talk for Korea, and Line serving like it gets very like I think in terms of the even like for this part of the world, like just Asia, I think it gets pretty diverse in terms of the social messaging channel preference.
Yeah, no, it's got to be, that's a massive undertaking. You've got so you've got your customers, you've got to go where they are and be where they are, and they're on multiple platforms.
Yeah, that's the spirit.
So, and I think what's interesting is, as you mentioned that, the ROI for being able to offload direct call center interaction with a chatbot, it looks very promising that, you can make those investments to reach all these various networks because you can really get an ROI on that.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, you're going to start, your chat based now, text based now, but you're going to start to incorporate voice. Is that something that's going to happen in 2021, or is that a 2022 thing?
I think maybe early 2022.
Okay. I see you grinning. I know.
Yeah.
That's
but I think I think the priority will still be like the phone call, because like majority of our customers are still coming instead of like the voice assistant. The majority of our customers are still coming from call. But right now, we are making an effort trying to move our customer from like call-based channel, voice-based channel. Not talking about the voice assistant. Talk about the phone-based channels to messaging channels, because we found that the cost per resolution is a lot lower when it comes to like the text-based channels, because I just based on the nature that an agent is able to handle multiple chats versus one agent can't really handle multiple calls at the same time. So from a cost perspective, we're really putting an effort trying to drive a channel shift from call to social messaging. And not only that, and also we have been receiving positive customer satisfaction rates in our social media channel, more compared to other channels as well.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So when you say through your social messaging channels, so I have a customer service issue, so I fire a tweet at you, or I talk to you over WeChat, or is it a private DM chat that somebody sends you, or is it in the public channels and then you handle it there?
So what we currently do is we have I think for both Facebook and the Twitter, we have to also handle the public posts and the private message scenario, right? So for the Twitter scenario, so if you talk to us, if you like,
if I tweet at you,
tweet us or tag us,
yes,
it does go into our system. But currently there's no like chatbot automation around that, because like the protocol that we are doing is just we tell the customer to DM us, because we have more control of what we can say.
Sure.
And also for Twitter, we do have a roadmap for enabling a chatbot, but the current focus, like based on our where our customer is and also the market preference, we are currently focusing on WeChat, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger.
Right. It's a massive undertaking. I think that what's fun about this conversation, Gordon, is just how on the cutting edge from a industry standpoint you are there at Cathay. We're watching it kind of happen and unroll in front of our eyes. wonderful to hear about the ROI that you're gaining and offloading those expensive calls from the call center and being able to actually improve service. What would you say as somebody, you know, when I met you, you were a rising mobile developer, I think just coming out of school. And what would you say to somebody who's, you know, looking at their options in terms of, you know, getting into this industry? Would you have any advice for people that, you know, want to get started in their career, or maybe they want to make a change with regards to the kind of development or product management that they're doing? Any advice for people that are, you know, looking to get into this space?
I think I think I think if they, I mean, both side. I think both side, if they are interested in product management, I think it's not it's not really a career that you can just like get out of school and get that. I think um, how do I say it? I would say it's I think for product management side, it takes a personality that you can communicate effectively with the developers, and also you need that business acumen, because product management is more about like how can you effectively translate the business needs into the technical requirements
Right.
within the framework, within the product management framework, within the Scrum framework.
Right.
And I would say for any, I mean, graduate looking to enter this field, they can look at agile and design thinking. I think these are pretty good tools for them to enter the product management field. Design thinking is about like the systematic way for you to empathize the business needs and empathize the customer needs, and iterate and experiments ideas. I think
Right.
this is a very helpful tool for anyone that's interested to enter the product management field. And also, I think product management, I mean, technical knowledge is not required, but my experience is, as a product manager, if you have some basic understanding of how this system works together, what's the API technology, security and compliance, the people they work with, like the developers, they actually respect you more. This is my experience compared to someone
Hey,
that is totally untechnical.
I think the amount of care that you put into your answer here with us is fantastic. Um, you know, having a deep technical understanding is super helpful for any product manager. I think that it is helpful because it earns trust and
Yeah, it's a trust. Yeah.
helps you make really good decisions. So I think that's great advice. Study up on the technology. And I think the interesting thing about this space is there are so many different ways to come into conversational design, strategy, and implementation, because you've got just so many different entry points. And we certainly are so happy that I am certainly so happy that our paths crossed again in this new industry. That's an evolution, I think, on the first industry that we really met in with mobile applications. Now our mobile applications, it's almost a requirement that we start to be able to interface with our mobile applications via a chat or our voice. We're certainly seeing that roll out to great effect. Gordon, we look forward to staying in touch with you and finding out more about what's happening at Cathay Pacific Airlines. And we really appreciate you spending some time with us here at Voice Global.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you. I'm Pete Erickson here at Voice Global. My guest has been Gordon Chu, who is leading the charge at Cathay Pacific Airlines from a product standpoint in the conversational technology arena. Gordon, thanks so much. We will see you all on the next chat.